sliding. I'm sure that's something that comes up a lot.
Yeah, it's funny because I practiced today. The first slide I was running, then all you hear was slide. So I tried to slide real quick. Didn't look too pretty. After that, I was looking a little bit better. But we're still working on it.
You never played baseball, did you?
Never in my life. Never in my life.
I told Noel maybe they should bring Maury Wills out to give you some sliding lessons.
May have to just have surprise, show up, pop up to the baseball team.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of knowing when to throw the ball away, knowing when to hit the ground, knowing when to press it. I mean, obviously that's part of the comfort level too.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that's come a long way this year is knowing when to throw the ball away, knowing when to take off, knowing when to keep running rather than just to slide. It's all you have to look at situations. Maybe sometimes it's better just to get the extra inch or just to take a slide and just leave it at that and play for the next play. And that's all the things that you've been working on as a quarterback, and people don't realize that. But those are even things you have to take into account when studying the game.
Was there a point last year where you took a hit? I mean, you tried to get a few extra yards, and you really took a hit, and you get up and figure, maybe I should have ducked on this one.
There was a couple times that I probably, took a hit and jumped up and was like, well, I'm not going to do that again. So. And
then you did.
Yeah, I did, but we just. There's a lot of times actually. Last year I probably should have slid, but that's what this body's for. I mean, I'm not gonna slide away from a hit. I mean, I'm 230 pounds. I mean, I can take a beating if I need to, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to protect your body and make sure it lasts throughout the whole season, not just go downhill after the midway point.
Mm-hmm. But with those higher expectations and the success of the last year comes, obviously people now know you and know this team, and there's a target and they're gunning for you. What does that do for you? Is that a motivating factor? Or?
It's a motivating factor, but to be honest, I try to keep the team focused on the team and not on everybody else's expectations. I think the one thing that we have to work on is playing to our expectations and to our standards rather than everybody else's. And I think we just have to stay humbled and grounded off of that. So knowing that when we go out on the game, it's not we're competing against them, we're competing against our standards and how we play. And we have to approach it like that each and every week, no matter who we're playing.
Brett, with Ashanti, he kind of looks like you did a year or two ago.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Tony about that.
What do you see from him? Are you taking him under your wing? I mean,
he's become almost like a little brother. He has a long way to go, but he's going to be a great quarterback here in the near future. There's a couple things he has to get going right now. Obviously he just got the offense, so he's a little deer in the headlights with that. But he's there's a lot of bright things about him. I mean, he has a cannon of arm, and I told him in a year or two, you're gonna have to start using legs or mental more because after a while your arm gets tired and you just got to do other things and make it more efficient otherwise. But he has so much of an upside, and he's gonna be a great quarterback eventually. One day.
Are you his roommate here? Is that true?
Yeah, he is. Well, we have four rooming with four people, but he is one of them.
And how much of a point do you take it to eat dinner with him or chill with him or
usually,
film with him?
I make it a point to give him his space, give him his time. But when we're out on the field, when we're out at meetings, I pop a question on him real quick. When we're out on the field, you'll see me just sitting here talking to him, and I'm making sure he's going through his reads, knowing stuff, and I'll try to give him pointers, not to just throw the ball, not to keep your eyes up. The things that I had to learn almost on my own. But KP was here to help me. That was sort of like what KP was to me. I'm trying to be to him. So I think that's a big thing. You just got to keep passing it on to the young ones.
Were you surprised by his arm strength the first time you saw him throw?
No problem. Not at all. I always knew. I mean, you got to realize when you bring quarterbacks in, it's obviously for a quarterback, you got to be able to throw. So I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, he has a cannon. I mean, he's going to be a good quarterback, like I said. So I mean, eventually he's going to be a shining star.
Word association. I say Heisman Trophy. What's the first thing pops in your mind?
I'm trying to get it. But I mean, at the end of the day, we got to win games, and I think that's what it comes down to. And I think to get your individual goals and your individual accomplishments, you have to get your team accomplishments first, and that all depends on winning games. And pretty much that's what it comes down to. You win games, and your individual goals and achievements and accomplishments and recognitions will come off of that.
Is it easy to have that mindset, or do you find yourself fighting the urge to kind of think, well, it's
I mean,
the possibilities.
Sometimes, I mean, just like anybody, you'll sit there and think like, man, wouldn't it be cool to win a Heisman, or wouldn't it be cool to get the the quarterback award or something like that, or have a receiver pop up and win the wide receiver award, or somebody, you have X win an award or AB win an award. But at the end of the day, you really have to focus, and I think that's one thing that I've been really good at. And obviously I talked about LB helping me is just focusing on what I got to do and what I got to do to help this team. And what I got to do is be the best quarterback that I can be. So that's and as a team, once we win games and all that stuff, AB will win his trophies. Everybody will get what they want.
Along with that Heisman talk, the other buzz around this thing has been kind of the Johnny Manziel story and all that stuff with autographs and stuff. I'm sure you get autographs requests all the time and everything. First, how do you balance all that hoopla of the NCAA violations? And second, do you feel like people like you or Johnny, the face of the program, should be able to profit off of yourselves, I guess?
I don't. And one of the things that I've talked about like this before, I'm I work for the NCPA, National College Players Association,
right.
And we do a lot of stuff like that and talk about players getting paid. But I think one of the messages that we're getting across is not players getting paid, but at least players have something to when they want to get something to eat, when they want to buy a pair of shoes, something. You hear about these dudes getting houses and stuff, and that's not what we're trying to go for. That's really not the message we're trying to put across. But I feel like when players are sitting on campus and you don't get money or something like that, and you're just stuck, sometimes parents don't have the money to give these players anything, so they're stuck on campus not able to do anything. And I feel like at the least you should be able to get something, to where if you want to go off campus in the Westwood, get some food, if you want to go to the mall and buy some shoes or something. There's a lot of players who won't say nothing about it, but who will walk around in the gear that we get for football, and that's not what you want. So you see these players doing that. Why should they have something just to get a pair of shirts, some shoes, something like that? We're not saying a house or some cars or something like that, but it's just something little. If they want to get something to eat, take a girl out or something like that, something simple.
So your pitch is more of a stipend versus
instead of there's a lot of stuff going on with the whole Bannon case and all that stuff. If that goes through, then this talk is going to be a lot bigger and heavier in a second. But with that, I think there's a lot of things. It's more about just having something rather than having nothing. I think when you have nothing and you see, and the players are looking like, man, there's millions of dollars are going. But at the end of the day, we're getting education. But it would be nice to have something to where the players sometimes can just go take a girl out, go to the movies, something simple like that.
But do you guys talk about that a lot among themselves?
I don't think the guys really talk. You won't really hear about it just because the guys. It's not, you don't want to say I'm broke. Everybody knows it, but you don't want to come out and be like, yeah, I'm broke. But it's just something that you sort of know, and you'll notice after a while. When you say, hey, let's get a burger. Sometimes I'll run up to players and I'll be like, hey, come on, let's go. On me, don't worry about it. And then they'll be like, all right, let's go. But if you say, hey, let's go get a burger, then they'll be like, nah, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Do you feel for Johnny at all and what he's gone through? Obviously, at this point, it seems like there's a new headline every day, new information coming out. Do you feel for him kind of being in that spotlight?
Yeah, I feel for him a lot, just because I think as a quarterback, you got to understand that one thing that, is you got to understand no matter where you go, you're going to be judged. And everybody has cameras and video cameras. So anything you do outside of, in your private circle is going to be watched and going to be seen. So you got to take into account that. But I think one thing, he's our age, he's trying to live life, he's trying to have fun, and that's what college kids do. But at the end of the day, we're faces of big-time programs and doing big things, so we got to just understand that when you walk out, you're not just anybody else walking around. You're somebody that people can look at and be like, oh, he's sitting there drinking, I'm going to take a picture and post it on social media.
It seems like you've been able to navigate that without any problem from day one. What would you say is your secret to kind of just navigating that?
Just keep your circle small, man. I think that's a big thing. I still have fun, I'll go out, have a good time with the boys, but I won't, be out sitting there going crazy and stuff like that. I'm gonna have fun. I love going out with the guys. Going to parties, doing all that stuff. Living life. We're in college. You gotta live life. You gotta have fun. But at the end of the day, you're not gonna catch me doing that, because I know at the end of the day we're out there, and my face and our face as a team is more than just an individual, but we're representing our team. So that's something we have to take into account.
Do you see yourself more as a face of the team this year than you did last year?
Yeah, a little bit more. I think last year, Jet took a big role and, was pushed out there. And now this year, I think, since he's gone, there's a lot more media attention, and a lot has gone to me or Anthony Barr. So as you just have to take into account now when people think of UCLA football, they're either going to think of Brett Hundley, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Zum, and, you just have to understand that.
Seems like you've stepped up as more of a spokesperson. Do you
Yeah.
kind of feel that even when you're just talking to us? You feel
Yeah,
like-
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you have, there's somebody that will always step up and be able to, speak for the team and, handle situations on what you need done and stuff like that. And, I think that's one thing I'm really good at is able, just to dissect the situation and talk about it. I mean, we got to talk. We're just having a conversation. At the end of the day.
Yeah,
That's sort of the job description for a quarterback anyway, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's something you always, as a quarterback, you got to know you're going to do that eventually.
How closely have you followed the O'Bannon case?
I followed it a little bit. I haven't been following it much lately because football has picked up. But during the summer I was following it. I know they had some players step up. I know U of A has a linebacker and a couple other players came into the light, and now they have actual players in real-time situations coming out about it and joining the case. So that's a huge step for the O'Bannon case. And if that gets gone through, then there's going to be a lot of talk here.
How many guys are in your association?
I don't know. There's a couple guys from all over the school. We're a pretty big organization. There's guys from all different schools.
Is the O'Bannon case something that you guys talk a lot about? Just
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about it. This is just something. There's something that Jeff Locke, like before it was Alteron Werner, then it got passed down to Jeff Locke, then it got passed down to me, and so there's always actually the NCPA got started here at UCLA, so that's one big thing that we have going, and so now we talk about it a little bit. We haven't talked about it much during fall camps. We usually don't get together, but usually once football's done, we'll get together once a week, talk about it on the phone and stuff like that, or whatever. So, whatever Johnny Manziel case is coming up, we'll discuss about it.
You said, but in the spring you were off Twitter. Are you still off Twitter?
Yeah, I'll get on and look at it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I won't do nothing with it.
But is you're talking about the attention a quarterback just inevitably gets. Is it, especially with Johnny Manziel, there's a pretty big spectrum. Johnny's probably at the one side and other guys are at the other side.
Yeah.
As far as attention goes. Is it really controllable? Can you control at all how much attention you're getting, or
not at
even
all.
if you're getting off social media and
Yeah,
that stuff,
not
it's
at
kind
all.
of
To
inevitable?
be honest, when you're doing good, when you're doing big things, naturally people are just gonna attract to you, and when you do things that are gonna expose you, there will be people who look at you, and then they're always, when you're on ESPN all the time about stuff like that, you're gonna get a lot more attention.